We're setting you up for transformation. We're setting you up for the changes and the dreams and all the aspirations that you hold dear in your heart. So she's saying we're going through some big stuff, but that river is pushing rocks and brambles out of the way like you've never experienced in this lifetime. But you have to be in the river and meet the current right where it's breaking through, and as the stuff's going, you're like the salmon going back to source, and like the salmon, just wiggle that tail through all of it, even when the water is shallow and you're gonna get a few scrapes. Don't worry about the few scrapes. Keep swimming and keep going. Hello everyone, welcome to Soul Weather, your mid-month energy check-in. I'm Dany Lyne. I'm an intuitive, and for the last 20 years, I've been co-creating wellness and aligned manifestation with folks worldwide, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. In this series, I'm going to tap us into the main energy through line so that we can alchemize the expansions and the contractions of the life force into our sacred flow. Join my YouTube channel to get your mid-month energy check-in. So it's lovely to see all your beautiful faces. Thank you for those of you who are showing up live. It's necessary for you to be here, and I'm so appreciative because without you, I can't channel. So channeling is something that can occur in a space with other people. And the goal here is to help us all access information that we need right now that can facilitate our process in terms of inhabiting this world, inhabiting our bodies, and moving with grace and with flow in terms of our evolution and our healing. So I'm unexpectedly in Mumbai, so we're filming here from this very busy city by the poolside of my hotel. If you've been tuning in before, you know that the solstice, the winter solstice, the shift into the water season based on the Chinese medicine wheel, that the shift is unusual and that the water is presenting in the form of a river rather than a lake, which is the usual ethos of this time. So it's been particularly interesting for me to do transmissions because in that sense, I don't know as a practitioner what it feels like for me and for all of us to be in a very, very different expression of nature's rhythm. And it's just different. We know rivers, but we're not usually in a river in the heart of winter and on the cusp of the winter solstice like we've been. So it's very important as a result for us to be really aware and to tune into ourselves because it's clearly an opportunity. It's for us. The river's not playing a trick on us. She's doing this for us. When an aspect of nature is expressing in a specific way, you can trust that this is what's needed right now. She's always trying to heal. She's always trying to adjust. She's always trying to support all the living beings that are part of her ecology. So I can feel my energy shifting, and we'll see who I'm channeling today. I don't know yet, so give me a sec. I spent some time at an ashram, which was the initial impulse for coming to India at this time. And during my retreat there, I connected with Anandamayee Ma, Shree Shree Anandamayee, and I will be channeling her today. I channeled her on Friday for the collective, and she's here for us today. Anandamayee Ma left her body in 1982. She had several ashrams in the north part of India. And so we're talking northwest part of India was her zone. And she is recognized by Hindus and Muslims and Jains alike. In India, she is revered as Ma. And so a very, very important figure in the landscape here. And internationally as well. She's saying that her impulse for being here with us is to help us understand right now that we are loved and that we're supported. She's saying that although the energy is tumultuous, please know that I'm here. Please know that many, many ascended masters, many saints, many, however we refer to the folks who are operating in the astral and the causal realms, however that figures into your ecology and your cosmology. She's saying, know that there are a lot of forces working for the healing and for the setting straight of the ecology and the harmony on the planet, which also means your ecology and harmony in your heart. The two are one. In light of this, moving toward harmony requires healing, requires growth, requires change, and requires transformation. And she's saying that what you need to do, because we're doing a lot here, you are supported, is you need to commit. That's what we need from you, is your commitment at this time to your growth, evolution, and to your accessing new levels of understanding and wisdom. And comprehension. This is a time where you're being encouraged to change your mind about things, to think about things differently. It doesn't matter that you've been thinking something for 60 years. It doesn't matter you've been thinking about it for 20 years, for 20 minutes. She says right now, the level of evolution is the pulse of this river is so strong that we're getting updates and we're being updated, and our mental ecology is being updated by the minute. You've heard people talking about getting downloads, right? People who are clairvoyant and whatnot. We're all clairvoyant. We're all clairaudient. We're all claircognizant. She says we're waking that up in you again. These skills and that level of accessibility to wisdom is a human trait. It's not the trait of psychics or healers or what have yous or yogis. It's a human trait. And so she's saying that has been clouded. And we heard that last week in the transmission. It's been clouded by a lot of toxins in our systems that have created a lot of fog in our minds. I was just talking, this is Dany talking, I was just talking to an OB-GYN here and having a whole moment with her yesterday. And we had a whole thing where she was saying, I can feel the babies, and you know, I can feel the baby communicating to me. And the other day, a baby woke me up and my neck was sore, and then I ran to the hospital, and sure enough, the umbilical cord was tied around its neck. She's been delivering and working and birthing with birthing mothers for a very long time. But as I hear this from Anandamayee Ma, I'm going, oh, hello. She's been birthing babies one way with her instruments, slightly asleep and slightly clouded and slightly foggy. And yet, suddenly, she's developing and remembering how to connect and to receive information differently. Anandamayee Ma says that your primary tool to receive this information is your body. Your body is your radio. It's not coming from the out, I don't know, it's not like something outside that comes inside. The body itself has the information. It comes from the inside and brews inside and rises from the inside, rather than thinking you're waiting for a signal to come from outside. And she says that's why it's so important right now to really monitor what you're putting in your body, right? The sugars, the caffeine, the alcohol, the whatever, meds, the narcotics, the whatever, that all of that clouds this environment within which the wisdom of the universe exists. She's saying, I'm inside you. I live inside you. I am you. So she's reminding me that we have an expression in our culture, you know, speak with your inside voice. And she says, this is the time of the inside eyes, the inside ears, and the inside speakers that that hold that information and resonate and vibrate that information through your body. So she says, if you're frizzled on caffeine, it makes sense that then these subtle vibrations don't have an opportunity to express themselves fully, and for sure, you will not receive them. So she's saying the movement of the river is also, right, the movement of information. It's the movement of love. It's the movement of wisdom. And so you want to actually be in stillness to receive the movement of the universe itself, to perceive the movement of the universe itself, and to be one with the movement of the universe itself. You don't want to be moved by coffee or whatever. You want to be moved by the universe itself and understand that that's what's operating through you. She's saying you need to be a lake, in a sense. You need to embody stillness and calmness so that your container, right, the lake, can then receive the currents of the river. So you don't want to disturb your lake. And that's going to be different for all of us, exactly what that means. And so that requires an observation on your part and a connecting of dots. Oh, when I do this, I'm more receptive. When I do that, I'm less receptive. It requires observation and connecting the dots. And then when she says she's coming back, then is the commitment. We're setting you up for transformation. We're setting you up for the changes and the dreams and all the aspirations that you hold dear in your heart. But to go from here to there, we have this process. And that's where the commitment comes in, is to agree to the process. She's using, again, the example of my surgery, and the word that was used previously was that we can interpret all this as opportunities, but that these opportunities, for instance, a surgery, requires the courage and the embrace of the whole process that is not exactly cushy. So it's really understanding here that the transformation that is available to you right now is moving some deep rocks that need to be moved out of the way. The opportunity here is foundational in your being. It makes sense that there's some discomfort that can and will be, if you commit. She says, we're meeting you there, and we're going to give you as much ease as is possible. So she's saying we're going through some big stuff, but that river is pushing rocks and brambles out of the way like you've never experienced in this lifetime. But you have to be in the river and meet the current right where it's breaking through. And as the stuff's going, you're like the salmon going back to source in the river. She says, be the salmon. You're going back to source, and like the salmon, just wiggle that tail through all of it, even when the water is shallow and you're gonna get a few scrapes. Don't worry about the few scrapes. Keep swimming and keep going. And she's saying the salmon, when they're doing that, they are supported by nature. They're supported by the life force, and they perform feats that in a way are inconceivable. And she says that's the beauty of your spirit. That's the beauty of the life force that lives in you, is this capacity to embrace that kind of mission and that kind of directionality and that kind of clarity and that kind of commitment to be one with love, to be one with source, and to be one with the life force. And she's saying that if in your heart right now you have it in you to make that commitment, when it comes down to it, I'm going to be doing the swimming, not you. But until the moment of the commitment, you're the one doing all the flapping and the swimming. But once that commitment and connection to Ma, to the mother, to the life force, to spirit, whatever words also work for you there, once that commitment is there, the energy that's moving you towards source is source itself. And she's showing me kind of like in the modern mind how we have some of our confusions, because she says in a way when things are happening of themselves, we feel alone. And she says that that feeling of aloneness is actually a disconnect from spirit. But once you have that commitment and the connection to spirit, you realize in that moment it's spirit itself expressing. And the realization that you are one with that energy. she's showing me that as we clear our minds, and she was speaking to us earlier this week about clear minds means also and relates to the clarity in the heart. She's saying this whole business of clarity. Clarity is not, it's not a fixed thing. And because clarity, she's saying it's actually a union with the logic of life itself and how it operates. And she says, in a sense, to be clear doesn't mean you'll understand, because the logic of all of life and of nature is not something we can comprehend with our minds. So in a sense, she's showing me this whole business of having a clear mind is actually to have the clarity to know that you won't understand necessarily, but that you are a witness to the mystery and to the intelligence and to the love of the life force itself. So clarity is not so much 2 + 2 is 4 and you're thinking, yeah, check, check, check. Clarity is actually a surrendering to the mystery and a clear mind to observe the mystery, to observe how the life force lives and expresses. So you can fool yourself, like many scientists do, right, into this notion of understanding spring, summer, fall, winter, and the logic of the body and whatever. And she's saying that any kind of knowledge that we can achieve in that way is very limited. So as much clarity as it might bring to observe bees and to observe certain animals and to take in their behaviors and all of it, she's saying ultimately, whenever you're witnessing humans and living beings and the salmon, you're ultimately in your clarity witnessing the beauty and the mystery of the life force itself. It can't be tabulated. It doesn't fit on a chart. And it's operating on so many levels that what you can bring with a clear mind is your curiosity. And again, your willingness to be there and your commitment to be with it, whatever it is, and however it's expressing in your life. She's saying once you're in that state, once you're in that groove, she says, you will laugh like the children that you are. You will experience joy. You will experience wonder and enthusiasm. And life will tickle every funny bone you have. Inherently in the life force itself is joy. Inherently in the life force itself is the bliss that the yogis speak of. Inherently in the life force is the celebration of itself. So it makes sense that once we join in and settle into that energy, that we ourselves will emanate and experience that joy. We are that joy. Every one of you is the magic of life itself. she's witnessing with compassion your suffering and traumas and the bings and bongs of life at all the different levels, and holds that energy. And yet what she also holds is the knowledge of who you really are. She'll hold you in your tears. She'll hold you in your anger. She's there for you for those moments where it's hard. And in her embrace, you remember who you really are. So the weight of those emotions, the weight of those experiences, does not in any way damage or erase this joy. It clouds the joy temporarily. Always remember that. It's temporary. And I mean, all of us in this circle have been through some really big stuff, right? There's big grief, there's big stuff. So she's holding that energy here, holding those experiences. And joining what seems to be incongruent or opposite, and yet it all coexists within this environment of joy. So she's back to the salmon, and she's saying in that energy, with the scrapes and everything of moving through the shallow waters, the deeper waters, and going upstream, in that commitment, in that focus, in that strength, there is joy. She says we've separated those two things. We've made joy kind of like a birthday party, you know, with the balloons and the cake. And we think joy exists in that environment. And we don't realize that it exists everywhere and in all conditions of life itself, because it's the primary energy of life itself. And she's saying in the energy of this river, we're helping you come to that place of realization where the striving, the challenges, the intensity, the focus, the commitment, the effort can coexist and is one with joy. And she says with practice that joy will become more and more like children at a birthday party when the bubble machine comes out. The two will overlap. The two, all these things that we think are opposites will come together and will coexist. And she says it's that joy that's actually those bubbles that are going to carry you. Because that, she says, those bubbles are me. It's my presence with you in that moment. I will also support your strength. I will help that energy along. And the more we're together, the more you're aware of me consciously, the more the bubble machine will be turned on to high. She says, I'm the supreme bubble machine. In all situations, I'm the supreme bubble machine. And she says all the magic of those bubbles and the light, the rainbow light that reflects on all the bubbles, that is my energy. That is my light, and that is my power. So what she's doing right now is she's doing a transmission where she's literally conveying these bubbles and letting you experience those bubbles in your body. And she's saying, please settle into the experience and allow the bubbles in to all those places that hurt the most. Let those bubbles touch you in your pain, touch you in your suffering, touch you in the depths of your healing, touch you in the depths of abuse history, of intergenerational trauma, the whole 9 yards. Let the bubbles touch your baby self, your child self, your young adult self, all the versions of you through time and space. She's saying, let me in, let me in. And it gets confusing to translate the message here because she's saying, I love you. But the only reason she says it that way is because you think of her as separate from you. Ultimately, she says, we are love together. We are love, all of us as one together. But right now, where you're at, I do need to say, and to reach you, I need to say, I love you. But she really doesn't want to emphasize the separation because that's an illusion. Namaste.
शांति शांति शांति